Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
Welcome to Sports Kid Drama Kid. I am Jim, and I'm the Sports Kid.
I'm Andi. I'm the drama kid.
Andi, today I have for you your favorite.
Is it baseball? Damn it. It'll be fine.
So, yeah, baseball episode again,
Okay.
but a little bit of a different angle on it.
Okay.
We are going to be talking about first the Little League World Series.
Yay!
What do you know about the Little League World Series?
I know it takes place in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and it's adorable. I have only watched like pieces of it.
We are going to talk about a specific Little League World Series story,
Okay.
but we'll get to that. First, I want to just sort of revel in the glory of the Little League World Series and sort of set the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an annual baseball tournament for children, usually boys aged 10 to 12. There are 21 girls who have played in it.
Nice.
As of 2022.
Nice.
Held every August in Williamsport, Pennsylvania at Howard J. Almonte Stadium. And there are other surrounding baseball fields, all part of a complex.
Okay.
And I'll just show you sort of the setting.
Damn.
So there's the main stadium.
That looks like a significant landmark in this town.
Mm-hmm. Right up here on this hill of the main stadium is where you see all the kids sliding on cardboard.
Yes, I
and
remember that. Mhm.
All the announcers and, you know, major league players who come in to watch and like be a part of the annual event will
It's
slide.
like a carnival.
Yeah.
At least it appears to be on TV.
It does. It does. Because it's like an event made around 10 to 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
In the summer leading up to the Little League World Series, Little Leagues all around the U.S. and the world make an all-star team. And it's players made up of these all-star teams from various towns, like public leagues, that eventually go to these tournaments.
Okay, so it's done by like township kind of.
The all-star team from each town or city league competes in a district, then like sectional, regional tournaments.
I'm remembering this past summer when this happened, I kept asking you, you had it on, and I was like, aren't these kids supposed to be in school? Because it was like September.
Oh, right. Like, because it gets close to the end of
I'm such a killjoy. I do the same thing during March Madness. I'm like, so how are these players handling the fact that, you know, they have like midterms and stuff?
In college, it's just they have someone take them for them. Probably.
I was like, these are children. They're supposed to be in school right now.
Each state sends one team to one of 8 regional tournaments. California and Texas each get 2 because they're huge. Eventually, this gets winnowed down to 10 teams representing different states/regions. Other countries can do kind of what they want to pick a team, but they usually also do tournaments.
I was about to say it is international, isn't it? Okay.
10 international teams are also picked based on, you know, whatever way they kind of sort themselves.
Okay.
I remember these early stage tournaments because I played in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin Little League in the like 10 to 12. That was the years that my dad was my coach, like that kind of age. It's kind of weird because like before that you're really young and there's no like tournament for you. After that, I think there is like a older kids Little League, but it's not the one that people care about. It's this 10 to 12 range where like you can go to the Little League World Series.
Like those are your 2 years or
3.
whatever, 3 years of opportunity
sort of like
to do
Little
it.
League is cooler during those years because there's this bigger
Was there,
thing.
did it feel like kids from Beaver Dam had the option of potentially going to that? Like, did you?
We had really good baseball, but nobody ever made it past the first tournament, maybe the second, and never got there. Similar, if you guys remember my basketball story of being put on the second team. I was also on the second team for these Little Leagues. They made a green and a gold team, and the gold team was the secondary team that would play these all-star tournaments.
Oh man, they called you the gold team to make you feel better, but it really wasn't.
Wasn't the good team.
You were never given the opportunity to really rise to the occasion.
I don't know. I don't know if I just was bad or if it was a mix of like parent drama, but it was definitely there.
I mean, we've talked about this before, just you and me without a camera and microphones, but there are a lot of situations when you're a kid where it's like, obviously you want the thing that you're passionate about to be taken seriously, but we put a lot of pressure on kids in the context of like sports and academics, and in my case, the arts, that, you know, you're not really emotionally prepared for.
No, I was very emotional when I played, just like hanging on everything I did, good or bad.
And you pitched too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was like, yeah, super fun, but also super emotional. I just remember like maybe not being able to handle it.
That was like my access point to baseball, watching it with you, was the pitchers, because like they always get really close on the pitchers, and the way baseball is now, it's so much about the pitching. I feel like I've turned to you multiple times and been like, God, this must be so psychologically crazy for the pitcher. Or like, I get sad when they switch pitchers. I'm like, oh, is he upset? Does he feel like he did a bad job because they're bringing in someone else?
Probably, yeah. Well, yeah, I imagine this is 10 to 12-year-olds being like nationally televised. So at this stage, it's just ramping up that emotion and sort of pressure put on a pitcher or anyone.
I just worry about the mental health going forward. Anyway, why aren't they in school? Are they in therapy?
So yeah, 10 international teams are picked, 10 American teams. So then they play this tournament, and there's a winner from the U.S. versus an international winner that plays in the championship. And according to Wikipedia, 96% of Little Leaguers are actually from the U.S., sort of playing in all those tournaments. So there's a much bigger infrastructure.
Wow. I was about to say that's so American to be like, the tournament is the U.S. versus international.
Versus the world. But because it's, you know, an American sport mostly, it's just not that big internationally. Yeah. However, international teams have had like a ton of success at times. But yeah, only like 4% of the world's Little Leaguers are international. One of the big sort of things in Little League World Series is like the age requirement. Like I remember this growing up. So you're like 10 to 12, but like where your birthday is sort of matters if you can keep playing.
Yeah.
And you want to like have some kids that are like right at the edge, so they're older and they can still play technically.
What
in
if
the league.
they age out like during the season?
Usually there's like a date set of like when your birthday has to be in order to be eligible.
Were there people who lied?
I think that there probably were, including a kid from my brother's grade.
I remember you telling me this story,
where everyone was like, pretty sure that guy's...
I think that kid's 16.
Yeah, well, yeah. And this was a big thing as a kid, like knowing where that cutoff was and where you would be. From the beginning of Little League, 1947 to 2005, the age limit for players was set at children who turned 13 on August 1st of that summer.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I played from 10 to 12 in the league, and we were the A's, or the Beaver Dam Athletics. And that was the one that my dad coached for 2 years. We were okay. We were like middle of the pack. I wrote here that it was pretty fun, but I remember getting worked up while failing at pitching, which is totally true.
That feels right.
The other things I remember is like parents getting really worked up on the sidelines, like insane arguments with umpires and other parents and coaches from other teams, and like yelling at kids on the field for like something they did, just crazy stuff. There was a guy who was like the Yankees manager. Like the team that he ran was the Beaver Dam Phillies.
Okay.
But he ran the Phillies of Beaver Dam, but he acted like a George Steinbrenner. Like he like had his eye on kids.
That's the manager of the Yankees?
He was the owner of the Yankees
for a
long time. He had his like eye on like talent coming up like from the 8 to 10-year-old range to make sure that he got the best team.
Oh my God.
People really like...
Is that all the what is it, wiffle ball or
like T-ball?
T-ball games?
Smaller like coach pitch leagues, which are before that, where like a dad pitches.
Yeah.
So there's a better chance of getting a ball across the plate because kids can't pitch from 8 to 10, really, like barely.
It's like everybody else is just there to like cheer on their kid, and he's in the audience like,
yeah,
not quite ready.
Not quite ready. We got to get that kid in the batting cage. So you never heard a coach pitch?
I spent my youth going to day camp and overnight camp. So, I mean, I've had like counselors pitch when I was forced to play
sort of the same
sports.
Deal. Where it's like no one of this age can pitch correctly. So we're going to have.
And that's why when I first started watching baseball with you, I was like, there's so much about the pitching in this game. Like no one's hitting the ball. It's like all about the pitching. And I was confused because my experience being forced to play softball, usually in like camp settings, was the opposite, because you had like, you know, an 18-year-old counselor just like doing their best to do an underhand pitch. So like it was way more about fielding, which I did not like, because I always, when I was playing defense, I was always like, I'm going to go as far back as I can so that I'm just not involved in anything that's going on.
Right field.
And there were quite a few times that, you know, because the pitching was not good pitching per se, that someone would just hit like something that like Major League Baseball they would catch, but I would be in the outfield being like, oh God damn it, now I'm gonna look so bad, and I'm probably gonna like sprain a finger.
Yeah, I remember from playing, just having those kids on your team that like were not into it, and didn't really want to be there, and probably their parents made them, and they just couldn't catch.
Honestly, for me, with anything having to do with sports, like athletics, like gym class, camp, whatever, it's not that I wasn't into it. Like I actually think like I could have gotten into it because I'm a pretty competitive person just in general, and you know, I do like doing active things. I think the social politics of it is really what turned me off. I always wanted to be in whatever position I was going to be the least responsible for something going wrong, because I didn't want to be bullied.
Yeah, although especially at this age, there's so much bullying and, you know, pressure from your other fellow kids around that age.
Yeah, especially in like a gym class setting, you try to get out in front of it. You're like, I know I'm not good, and so I am self-selecting as the loser. So, you know, I've already made that distinction, so you don't have to make it for me. But then like certain sports, like I was like decently okay at volleyball in gym class, and that was like, you know, we would pick teams and I would not get picked. I would be picked like middle to last, not the absolute last. And then like I would surprise everybody by being like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Like that dark horse.
Yeah.
Oh, we got the person who isn't supposed to be good. But,
I remember
oh my God,
feeling so good about myself when like certain like more athletic, popular boys on like the team I was on in my gym class who had like picked me as just like, oh, well, she's left over. And then they'd be like, okay. I'd be like, yeah,
nice
I'm
bump.
so good at volleyball.
Back to the Little League World Series. Here's where I have a note about player intros. Just to sort of set this up, the event that I described, the Little League World Series with the 10 teams from each side, it's televised on ESPN, like most of it, and then like ABC for the championship game or the final games. So it's like really hyped up as far as like youth sports goes. And part of the whole experience of them being on TV is they get sort of the like pro player treatment where they get to, you know, say their name.
They get their 15 minutes of fame.
And their favorite whatever. They ask them questions to do like a little intro spots for all the kids. They
all love chicken nuggets, Kevin Hart. That's pretty much it. Like they all usually say like, my favorite food is chicken nuggets. My favorite actor is Kevin Hart.
Yep. Exactly. And they get to hang out with Dugout, the mascot.
Oh, right. I do remember he was like riding around in a golf cart.
Oh, the Dugout mobile or whatever.
I love anything to do with mascots. They're my favorite part of sports.
Yeah, he rides around and hands out cold drinks on a hot day. All right, I'm going to watch the intros for the Great Lakes team of last year.
My name is Preston Allred, and my favorite dessert is chocolate cake.
My name is Ben Gollier, and my favorite food is grilled cheese.
All these kids are just doing Fortnite dances
my name
the
is
whole
Carter
time.
Sullivan, and my favorite player is Aaron Judge.
My name is Bentley George, and my favorite emoji to use is the skeleton emoji.
My name is Graham Vinson, and my favorite food is chicken tenders.
There it is.
My name is Jonah Hale, and my favorite actor is Adam Sandler.
Oh, you forgot about Adam Sandler.
I did.
Moore, and my favorite player is Austin Riley.
My name is Clark Thornburg, and my favorite actor is Adam Sandler.
Another one.
My name is Caden Hall. My favorite player is Johnny Bench.
My name is Heath Johnson, and my favorite band is AC/DC.
Wow,
cool parents. All these kids must have seen Uncut Gems.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Sandler has a lot of movies.
Let's list them. Waterboy.
Billy Madison. Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Big Daddy?
Big Daddy. Sorry,
Don't
I didn't mean to say
say
it like that.
Big Daddy. Yeah. Oh
what was the one with the remote?
Oh, I don't remember.
Click?
Yeah, I think it was Click.
Something like that?
Yeah.
The one where he's a sad comedian.
I mean, that's not one the children are happy.
What about the basketball one, the recent basketball one?
Oh, Hustle?
Hustle.
Yeah. It's the reason Adam Sandler is confusing is because I feel like his heyday for like children's movies was when we were kids.
Yeah.
But I guess an Adam Sandler movie is evergreen.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love it.
All the jokes in them play today.
Oh, don't say that.
Sorry.
You're going to get in trouble for that.
All right. What about the Midwest?
My name is Mason McFate, and my favorite food is wings.
Nice.
My name is Collin Townsend. My favorite subject is math.
Boo.
My name is GREYSON Ballinger. And my favorite player is Javier Baez.
My name is Ted Swanson, and my favorite baseball team is the Kansas City Royals.
My name is Owen Everhart, and my favorite food is tacos.
Nice.
Sweet.
My name is Riley Allinger, and my favorite team are the Cubs.
Nice.
Oh, they're cute. They're so cute. This is some real Sandlot movie energy.
All right. Last one.
My name is Jake Tomlinson, and my favorite school subject is history.
Nerd.
My name is Dash Avery, and my favorite dessert is ice cream.
Woo!
Hi, my name is Lynn Kafin, and my favorite baseball player is Mookie Betts.
My name is Brogan Oliverson. My favorite food is ribs.
Ribs, nice.
My name is Colby Lamro, and my favorite food is mac and cheese. My name is Rex Whitney, and my favorite food is breakfast burritos.
Ooh, good
specific.
choice.
Yeah.
My name is Caden Ellis, and my favorite actor is Adam Sandler.
Wow.
My name is Davin Patrick, and my favorite emoji is the muscle emoji.
My name is Jayden Murphy, and my favorite food is cheeseburgers.
Nice, Jayden.
Respect. Yeah. What we learned today from those is Adam Sandler still popular.
Yeah, still got it. You heard it here last. Adam Sandler, pretty funny guy.
Even kids like Adam Sandler still.
I like him too. I won't lie.
That's a good thing because I think he has a deal with Netflix for the next 90 years to make a movie every year. So we're going to be seeing more Sandler.
I just want to say, Jim watched Hustle, that basketball movie. I was not watching with him. I was doing other stuff in the apartment, and I walked down the hallway, and Jim was about 15 minutes into the movie. He's like, this might be like one of my favorite movies ever. Like, I'm really enjoying this. And then like 20 minutes later, he was like, oh, this is terrible.
That was true. Really liked the setup of Hustle.
I liked the concept of it. Its execution was a little cheesy.
Yeah. Anyway, so now that we watched some fun Little League intros, let's get into sort of the main story here today. And that is about the 2001 Little League World Series.
Okay.
And the biggest story during the Little League World Series this year was from the team who represented the Bronx, New York,
Okay.
the Mid-Atlantic region. And the main attraction in this tournament was a player on that team by the name of Danny Almonte.
Okay.
Here is a photo of Danny Almonte on that team. Pitcher.
Adorable.
Yes. Flame-throwing pitcher. A little background on Almonte. He was from the Dominican Republic, and he moved to New York and was living with his baseball coach, who was a family friend named Rolando Paulino. And Paulino was his coach and also like mentor, and he was staying with him in this time.
Did they bring him over from the Dominican Republic to play
They
Little
did.
League? Oh, okay.
They did. So Paulino ran the Bronx, New York league that Danny would play in.
Okay.
And he was basically sent to the U.S. by his father and family in order to pursue baseball. They saw his talent and they wanted him to play in the U.S.
Okay.
And Danny didn't have many connections to the U.S. other than baseball. He was still learning English. He was adapting to life in the U.S. and living in a Dominican community in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of change for a kid that young.
Yeah. And basically, he came here to play that summer. He was the star of the tournament, which was broadcast on ESPN and ABC. The first game he really got noticed in was a group stage game against the team from Florida, where he threw a perfect game, which is like...
Nobody hit any of his pitches?
Nobody hit any of his pitches, and he didn't walk anybody. Like, literally no bad things happened. Nobody...
That's got to be pretty rare in the MLB even.
Oh, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the most rare thing in the MLB. I took some clips from a documentary, ESPN Films Kid Danny documentary, like a short one on this whole situation.
Okay.
So this is a clip from Kid Danny about the perfect game in the first opening round.
Danny Almonte from the Bronx, New York, is getting all the attention.
The first game that I played in the Little League World Series, we playing against Florida. The game goes on, I just throwing and they swinging and swinging. My changeup, my curveball, they swing everything. They not even hit a foul ball. In the sixth inning, I look back to the scoreboard. The coach told me, you throw a perfect game. I said, what?
This one the opener. More history. Danny Almonte.
All right, so he threw a perfect game.
That's incredible.
And just took the world by storm and the U.S. by storm, people rallying around
Also just
this kid.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, am I throwing a perfect game? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that there's 6 innings in a Little League game. So.
You know, I didn't notice. And I wouldn't.
I would show you another clip. I have another one, but in the semifinal game, he got 16 strikeouts and basically threw another no-hitter again.
Incredible.
He is just dominating, and everyone's like watching this across the country like, oh, wow, this kid's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone is rallying behind him and that team, tuning into all these games. The Little League rules stipulate that you can't pitch in back-to-back games if you've pitched like a certain amount of pitches in the previous game. So Danny couldn't pitch in the U.S. final game to go to the championship, and they lost.
Oh, come on.
Basically, they were really reliant on him being dominant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And because they want to protect the kid's arms at that
fair.
age,
That's
they
fair.
can't just go out every
It's a lot of
day.
physical stress on an arm, I would imagine.
Yeah. So Danny is sort of a hero in New York as he took the sports world by storm. So here's another clip from that documentary showing sort of a celebratory mood after they returned, because though they didn't make the championship, they did still sort of take over the culture.
Yeah, I mean,
In the Bronx as the Baby Bombers return from the Little League World Series.
Baby Bombers?
So during this time, they were nicknamed the Baby Bombers because the Yankees' nickname is the Bronx Bombers.
Oh, okay.
So people named them the Baby Bombers.
Oh, that song was a celebrity. People took it like it was bigger than the Yankees.
Who's better, the big bombers or the little bombers? The little kids. They're the best all around the world.
This is so sweet.
We were playing for us. We were playing for Dominican community. We were just a bunch of Dominican kids from New York that want to make something good in their life.
And these young men learned the value of teamwork, and I think they've also learned the value of relying.
That's the voice of one Rudy Giuliani.
On the support given to you by your family, who cares about you, and loves you,
incredibly
and takes care of you, and cheers with you when you win, and cries with you when you lose.
If Rudy Giuliani isn't the bad omen
of things to come,
I don't know what else could be.
At least he wasn't in front of a landscaping business.
Not yet.
That is all going on. Danny Almonte is getting celebrated. The Bronx is celebrating. The U.S. is celebrating. And then this happens. And I'm just going to have you read from a little newspapers.com story from a newspaper in Connecticut.
Little League is investigating pitcher Danny Almonte after being shown a document that indicated the ace from the Bronx might be older than allowed. The Rolando Paulino Little League insists Almonte is 12 years old, born April 7th, 1989, in Mocha, Dominican Republic. But Little League World Series officials were shown an affidavit Monday by a Sports Illustrated writer that indicated a Danny Almonte was born April 7th, 1987, in the town, said league spokesman Lance Van Alken. Little League rules prohibit any player born before August 1st, 1988. From competing this year. If this is the same Danny Almonte who played for Rolando Paulino Little League, then we have been deceived. And a fraud has been perpetrated on Little League and the millions of youngsters for whom Little League is so important, said Little League Inc. President Stephen Keener.
All right, so what are you thinking after hearing that and reading that?
I'm thinking, like, I'm not saying it's okay to falsify documents or lie or commit crimes, if that is indeed what happened. This is all alleged at this point. But I'm also saying that this is a bunch of like grown men going after a child and not letting just like a kids baseball team have their moment and be happy, and let the Bronx have their moment and be like, Giuliani was committing crimes at this time. Why don't you go after Rudy Giuliani instead? Like, some people commit real crimes, and this is Little League baseball.
So then a couple of days later, there's another story. It says Felipe Almonte, his dad, apparently falsified his son's birth certificate so that he could play in the Rolando Paulino team the last 2 seasons. And Little League requires that the player turn 13 no earlier than August 1st of the year in which they compete. And Danny was born April 7th, 1987.
So he was like 15?
14. Yeah. So there was a really good little article that I found sort of summing this up, and it sort of touches on what you said. And I actually like looked at my local paper, the Daily Citizen, from that time just to see what their take was. And I found this article. I'll just have you read a little bit of it because it kind of like sums up this story.
Last week, Danny's life must have felt like a fairy tale. He fielded a phone call from his idol, Ken Griffey Jr., met the president, and pitched in the Little League World Series. This week, it must feel like a made-for-TV movie. The handful of private investigators hired by rival coaches in Staten Island, New York, and New Jersey to find proof that Almonte was ineligible came up empty-handed. Now, a posse of reporters and Little League officials are on his trail. Already, there are conflicting birth certificates. The organization's president, Stephen Keener, promised a resolution within 2 weeks. Quote, anyone who would knowingly undermine the trust in Little League is guilty of doing serious harm to children, end quote, Keener said.
So it goes on to sort of say, essentially, what you were saying, that like it wasn't good that adults did this, but ultimately adults did this.
Like, don't, yeah.
And in the doc, after this is sort of revealed, Danny ultimately says that he didn't really even know at the time what was happening.
He didn't.
Like,
I'm sure he didn't.
He was just like playing and having fun and truly in the moment of it.
Yeah.
He like sort of knew, maybe thought he might have not been old enough, but they literally had a fake birth certificate made. And they had to like investigate it and go dig up his original one.
Also, when you're that age and the adults around you are making decisions for you and just telling you what to do, you have like kind of complete faith in that.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, whatever.
And to that point, he says in the documentary that he forgave his father for doing what he did because he's just looking for trying to give him the best opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
So though his father did know, like, he was like, yeah, I mean.
But his father also knew that he had an incredibly talented son who had a chance at, like, you know, receiving a level of fame and success in America.
Yeah.
So
But apparently Paulino is the one that's kind of the villain in this because he basically had Danny living with him only for baseball, for this team, wanted it to be good. He was like the adult just trying to basically profit off of
He also,
him.
The baseball team is named after him.
The Little League is named after the guy who ran the team.
Is that the case
also,
for other Little League teams? Okay.
So all the signs kind of point to like this was about this guy wanting fame and notice.
Because I was like, wait, that's the team name? I thought that was that guy's name.
Yeah, no, their team is technically his name. Like it's not just like the Bronx team. It was like his Little League with his name on it as a guy. And Danny says in the doc that he hasn't really kept in touch or talked to that guy anymore.
Yeah.
What ultimately happens is they revoke the Bronx team's wins and they're retroactively disqualified, which again is just like...
It already happened. And he didn't pitch that last game, so they didn't go to the championship. They didn't win.
So it's more of a story of overly ambitious parents and parents taking advantage, which is kind of a thing in every youth sport.
I mean, that documentary that came out a couple years ago about the whole college admissions thing with like rich celebrity parents like getting their kids into college under literally just false information.
Yeah. This is definitely a more complicated situation because he's like coming from a different country and they want to like do what's best for him. But at the same time, at the core of it is like that trope of like a parent or an adult wanting to like use their kids' abilities.
Yes.
for fame and their own.
And, you know, yes, for their own. And also sometimes it just comes out of like a place of really misdirected love of like, I love my kid. I think they're amazing. I think a lot of people think that their actions are like just, even if they know that they're wrong. They're like, well, I'm just doing the best that I can for my kid.
Yeah. Anyway, this goes down as basically the biggest scandal in Little League history. I remember it at the time, like seeing this all unfold. Mm-hmm. And I wrote a little ending monologue. Revisiting the story of Danny Almonte all these years later, I'm mostly reminded of how cool it was to watch him be as good as he was. It turned out he wasn't the right age to be playing Little League, so what we were watching wasn't completely real. But it was more exciting than any baseball I'd ever watched. Like dunking on my little brother on a Fisher-Price hoop in our basement. I didn't care that it wasn't technically fair. It was still very fun. The other time baseball was that exciting for me was when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were battling for the home run record a few years earlier. I took off school and I went to County Stadium with my dad to watch a struggling Brewers team play against the Cubs just to see if Sammy Sosa would add to the home run total. And he hit 2 home runs, which was magical because we weren't there for the Brewers. They were terrible. No. We were just there to see if Sammy Sosa would continue to try to beat Mark McGwire in home runs. And just like Almonte, that story was also too good to be true, as we found out both of these guys were using steroids, a topic we'll probably cover someday. I know the reason that these things were compelling was because we believed we got to witness players within the rules of the game do something awesome, one of a kind, never seen before. When those players turned out to be frauds more pro wrestling than prodigious, we realized we were lied to. But on the other side of the fleece, we can still remember how good they made us feel.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was really beautiful. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing just made me kind of remember enjoying watching that and then realizing it was like fake. I actually don't even really remember the backlash at the time.
No,
so I was like, oh, that was fun to watch.
Yeah. This kind of thing just makes me so angry. I hate when people forget that like everything that is put in front of our faces on a screen is to some degree purely for entertainment value. Rules should not be broken. I get it. But it's also like, yeah, it's exciting for people to watch this kind of stuff happen. And like, yeah, and if it comes out like, oh, this wasn't done through like just means, it's not great, but it shouldn't negate absolutely everything, you know? Like I even remember like the Mark McGwire, I like literally physically remember like a magazine cover with him on it. And like, I was not paying attention to baseball at the time, but I remember that moment in time. And also like for kids watching Danny, like that's just got to be so heartbreaking and disappointing for them.
Well, I was right around that age. Like I was still, maybe I just finished or was still playing Little League. So seeing that was kind of like, yeah, you idolize this person.
And you have to imagine that like he just came over to America. He's making friends with the people on the team. He's still young. And like we're acting as if like, oh, he was a 25-year-old man who snuck onto the team. Like he's a year older than these kids.
Sorry, I need to stop you. I'm just picturing like Nick Offerman on a Little League team now. Yes, guys, I am of age.
Has anyone seen this guy's birth certificate? I know he said his favorite actor's Adam Sandler, so that seems to be irrefutable evidence that he's a child. But
yes, I love Adam Sandler. I loved all of his movies.
My favorite emoji. Is there like a bandsaw emoji?
A canoe?
Any of the emojis that have to do with woodworking. And yes, I'm a child. My favorite food is steak.
Yes.
Yes.
Rare.
Have
you guys seen HBO's The Last of Us? Me neither. Anyway, good bit.
It's always best to end a bit by saying good bit. Anyway, back to what I was saying, which I don't fully remember, but the point I was making had something to do with, you know, he's undergoing a lot of change. He's a child, okay? And this is very, very, everything's new for him. And like, I get so sad thinking about the fact that his friends on the team probably turned on him too, because you know.
Yeah, we don't know that, but
We don't know that. I'm just assuming from, you know, my own childhood, what happens when you become, you know, the person who the negative attention
especially
is
after all the positive
fixated on. Especially, again, if we have parents who are like overly into the game. Like, how many times do you see in TV and movies and in real life where a kid's like, my parents said I can't hang out with you? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole thing just
It's
makes me feel sad because he also, I'm assuming based on the tone of this documentary, that he did not go on to play professional baseball.
He did not, but he played some in college and stuff like that, and he now high school coaches.
Oh, that's so
yeah,
sweet.
He's still around it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a nice redemption arc. I like that. And he didn't need a redemption arc because whatever. Yeah. He was a victim of circumstance.
So in the interest of Sports Kid Drama Kid, as I always do, what story would this be? Actually, might want to see this story.
Yeah, I kind of would actually.
In sort of media or culture or arts.
Let me think about this for a second. I think that this is a Neil Simon play. And some background on Neil Simon. Neil Simon was a playwright from the Bronx, actually.
Oh, wow.
And he wrote a lot of plays about family life, particularly family life in the Bronx and sort of interpersonal situations. The play Brighton Beach Memoirs, like, I think has like baseball being played in it on stage. So there's a lot about the like Bronx and American culture and like family politics. And it's like, there are funny elements, but it's ultimately kind of a dramatic. It's a Neil Simon play.
Okay. I don't know really what that is.
I'll show you. We'll do some scene work later.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for listening to Sports Kid Drama Kid. And if you liked this, you know, tell a friend, find us on social media.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And yeah, follow us on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. We will see you next time. Bye.